We're back, people, and today we're breaking down film on Jeff Hafley's defensive scheme back when he was with Green Bay. I really wanted to focus on sort of two main things and sort of how he disguises his looks, specifically coverages, and combines that with what he does up front, and also just like different personnel usage that I think will fit with the guys that Miami has brought in and how those guys will be used. So we'll go through this. Uh, Lots of different fun things that I think he does. Movement wise, I think he has a lot of three linebacker looks out there. I think that's why you saw the Dolphins in the 2026 NFL draft kind of target different guys that can kind of be moved around and play different roles in that sort of second level. Safety play is pretty important, but I think what he when he got Micah Parsons, I think his front usage became even more interesting in how he used those guys to get after the quarterback. Allowed his secondary to play pretty aggressive, even though they didn't have like guys who were known for playing like press man. Like it was a lot of like disguising off looks and then coming downhill. But yeah, there's a lot of things that I think Hafley does a good job of like adjusting and playing to his player strengths, because you'll see differences from 2024 to 2025. Even with just like the Micah Parsons thing up front, and then like even if you go back to his college film, he loved to play press man. It's just not something he did a ton in Green Bay because of the personnel that they had. So we're gonna get into this. We'll start over real quick. First place sort of here, something that I think you'll notice just with how he sort of structures his fronts. You see this defender right here. This is Isaiah McDuffie. He is on the line of scrimmage now, basically as like an edge defender. He's the Sam. And once this motion happens, he kind of gets bumped out to playing as like an overhang guy. This sort of defender, like that you would see Miami playing this role, would be like a Willie Gay from the veterans, or you would see a guy like Trey Moore from the rookies. Potentially even a guy like Kyle Lewis could even do a little bit of this as well. I think having that versatility, you could even see potentially Jacob Rodriguez. I think he's, athletic and physical enough to do this type of thing. But it's very important to go out there, have a guy that can get hands on. They're physical to redirect, but also be athletic enough to cover out in space. But if he does have to play in the line of scrimmage, he can, set the edge versus an offensive lineman. That versatility is very important. Uh, but it kind of just changes with this motion, just changes like people's responsibilities. Now this guy becomes like the contained player at the end of the line of scrimmage here. This edge defender, which he's in a spot there to make a play. Caleb just ends up making him miss. And then on the back end, they're not doing anything too crazy in terms of coverage. Like it's pretty normal, cover three stuff going on. But I just think that subtle movement with the motion, it shows why the importance of guys that they brought in at the second level uh, that you need. Here, they end up doing some cover three buzz. If you're not sure like the difference between like the cover three coverages, this safety, this is Xavier McKinney. This is him buzzing down. He's playing as like a middle hook defender. Uh, Cover three Sky would be the safety that bumps down here. He would actually be more of a curl flat. So that's like the difference between Buzz and Sky. So he's buzzing here, but he's also to the single, like he's off to the single receiver side. It's a 3-by-1 with this motion happening. He bumps down. This single receiver runs underneath and sits in the middle of the field. So now he's buzzing and finding number three. And reading this correctly, you need to have very intelligent safeties. I think that's one thing Hafley maybe didn't get to target too much going into his first year with Miami, but you're hoping that they did bring in intelligent safeties. It seems like Dante Trader is someone that they like, but then they also brought in Michael Taft, Lewis Moore, who in college were known for their intelligence. But then being able to read this concept is very important. You see that they're running dagger. Number three is working vertically. He's the clear out, but he knows like he doesn't have to carry that. He can pass it off to the deep middle of the field safety, and then finding the dig behind it. Very, very impressive play. Almost gets the interception. So having a guy that can kind of roam the middle of the field like that, I think will be very, very important. But he knows how to use the guys to his strength, because this is where a guy like Xavier McKinney thrives. Like he had good safeties in Green Bay, and he let them really be used in advantageous positions up front here. Like this is just such fun stuff, because this is like all around. Look at the picture on the back end. We'll look at the back end here first. Showing a pretty normal, like this would be like single high, middle of field close look. You have a safety in the middle of the field. Could be cover three, cover one type look. You might think it's man to man, especially with how like they're showing blitz up front. So they end up, up front also bringing pressure. It looks like Quay Walker might bill out. He ends up blitzing. They end up dropping Edrin Cooper, the other linebacker, kind of overload the blitz to one side, and you get a stunt where you get two guys free in Micah Parsons and Rashawn Gary. And then you mirror that with like having a linebacker, Edrin Cooper, who can bail back to play as like a Tampa 2 Mike guy. That's why having guys like, in the defense that can do this, which I think they do. They have a linebacker that can show blitz at the line of scrimmage, but bail out and either carry a number 3 if he had to, or just, gain depth to the middle of the field. And then you look, the corners, they're playing an inverted 2. They end up playing as a deep half. That safety that was showing middle of the field ends up bumping down to play as like a hook defender. And it just puts a lot of stress on a quarterback to do these types of disguises. Having players that can do this, and I think he brought in players that are capable of doing this. They just have to learn the playbook. They have the physical and I think mental capability to learn it at a high level. Here's another example of bringing pressure on the front end, not really disguising too much on the back end. Like they're still running like a variation of quarters that has like a cover 0 element to it. See how this center goes off to the left here? His first step is to the left. They read this, and that ends up dropping these guys. So these 2 linemen end up dropping, and it brings the pressure on this other side, and it just kind of forces the QB to be uncomfortable. They don't even get like a clean hit on him or anything, but just keeps him uncomfortable. And then the corners are allowed to play aggressive. They let the guys maybe get a little behind them, but it doesn't matter because QB doesn't have enough time to work with. I love all like the little details that he is working with there. Just fun stuff. Here's another. He loves to do show cover 3 and then work a variation of Tampa 2. Very similar example, except they're not showing a ton of pressure at the line. This time Cooper bails out, but he's not playing as like or that's not Cooper actually. That's a different linebacker. But he's not playing as like the Tampa 2 guy that's showing blitz at the line. He just drops out, playing as like a curl defender. You have this middle of the field safety drop down to the curl area. This guy bailing deep, and then the corners, one of the like safeties bails back, and then this corner goes into a deep half. So it's like having players that are comfortable playing all around. If you're a corner, being able to play, certain safety responsibilities, same thing of your safety, just really fun disguises and usage of his personnel up front. Good stuff. I think this is just kind of show what he likes to do with his linebackers, because I think that's one of the more intriguing things the Dolphins did in the draft with bringing in Jacob Rodriguez, Kyle Lewis, and Trey Moore. So he comes out here in a pretty typical 4-3 look. Up front, you get Micah Parsons. He wins around the edge. You don't do anything too crazy on the back end. You're working like variation, cover 6. But just having a linebacker that can bump out, you don't have to bring in a nickel defender. Having this either be like a Kyle Lewis or Trey Moore that can stay out there, play coverage, but also be a part of run fits. Very, very valuable to what he wants to do defensively. And they end up, doing a good job on the back end. Nothing's really there, and they get the sack. This, this one he just wanted to show. Wanted to show this one just so like Micah Parsons' usage. Like once he got Micah Parsons, he just started moving him around, using him all over, not just lining him up at the edge. Let him stand up, sneak late, drop the center to the ground. I think it just shows like the Dolphins don't have a Micah Parsons player, but it just shows like I think they could use chop in certain situations they used Mike in. But I think it just shows like he's willing to play players, his best players, and use them to their strengths. I feel like that's something, some defensive coordinators don't always do. They're just like, hey, just line him off the edge and let him go. But moving around, it just creates so much conflict and problems for the offense. So I like just seeing that, and then, you get a quick pressure, make that guy panic on a 3rd and long situation. Here on the back end, you drop out similarly, kind of similar to what we saw earlier. See how the center first step to this right side, you end up getting these 2 defense linemen drop out, gain depth. You bring the pressure now off of both sides, but it ends up kind of making this guy it makes Caleb panic a bit, and you get a free guy, defensive end off the edge, and you allow your corners like Valentine loves to play aggressive. He even lets the guy just get right behind him, but it doesn't even matter because Caleb is end up rolling to his left off his back foot and basically just has to throw it away. Getting aggressive, but not giving anything easy either. Like you get aggressive, don't give up an easy completion. Like seeing that. Good work there. Here's an example of what, like this is Javon Bullard. He's like the main nickel for Green Bay. So I know that we talked about like how they like to have 3 linebackers out there. That's not going to always be the case. Nickel's still going to be like what you're running. But this defender, I'm like, Dolphins don't really have a nickel, but like who could this player end up being? It could be just like a third safety. I think this could be Kyle Lewis still. I think this could also be like a Chris Johnson. Having someone like this is like, I mean, I've seen Kyle Lewis do this on film. You get hands, kind of reroute number two. You open up your hips. You have to flip back out in the opposite direction, gain some depth, and then close underneath to make a tackle. Having that defender, I think, will be really valuable, and hopefully the Dolphins can find that under Jeff Hafley. But like here up front, I mean, just look at the stunt usage that he would use with Parsons. Another example of kind of just they come out wide 9 on both ends. They have a nose tackle, and then Micah Parsons kind of just he was flipping sides, and then you kind of just play off of that. And then this time he plays off with the wide 9 defender over here, and you can just see him like maybe not expect this, get up on Darnell Wright, throw him out of the way, but still get up field, and it just creates this perfect. Like he does a great job crashing. The timing on the loop here is perfect, and they get the sack. Just love seeing that stuff. Then you see some up front, like they try to hit him with a wham concept. So wham means like they're leaving this guy unblocked, and then the tight end is whamming him to take him out. Uh, and it does kind of end up working, but this is sort of like the aggressive gap shooting penetration style that you're going to see. That it like it can create some hit or misses, but him getting into the backfield penetration, but the linebacker also playing aggressive and gap shooting off of it still allows for just a minimal gain. You also have a nickel being involved in the run support there. So having guys that can play aggressive and more of a one gap shooting style of defense is very important. Here on the back end, another sort of variation of Tampa 2, but this time the middle field safety is not flying down into like a curl spot. He's kind of disguising that he's still playing cover 3, but you can just tell from the depth these corners gain that this is clearly deep half, and he doesn't continue to gain depth. Now he sits in the middle of the field, takes away Loveland. Very interesting. You're still showing blitz here at the line with Cooper. He still bails out. You only end up bringing 4, but it just shows like no easy completions. Good job. I mean, it puts a cap on things in the back end when you have a corner that's gaining depth like this, not going to get beat. And that stuff in like that middle of the field range that you would usually do to attack cover 2 just gets taken away by the safety that's kind of the middle of the field close safety that's bumping down just a little bit. No easy completions all around. Love seeing that type of work. Another example of just he loves the Tampa 2 variations. Both corners, or you get one corner bailing out. Xavier McKinney, the other safety, bails out. There's a deep half. The middle field close safety that looks like he might have been single high ends up bumping down to play curl. This time Quay Walker bails out and plays as the Tampa 2 guy. He carries, so having a guy that can carry down the field. And Caleb is kind of panicked, takes the underneath route. They rally to tackle, and this is, it was like a 3rd and 7 situation. Up front, they're not doing anything crazy. They're just kind of containing. They get after it. They still get a hit on the quarterback. Being able to win with 4, very, very valuable in today's NFL. Love the ability to show blitz and play aggressive on the back end. Show blitz, know that they're going to want to get the ball quickly, take away that quick slant. Another example of them bailing out. See how 99 bails out this time and takes away that quick opportunity. Loves to get some quick disguise, and then just nothing's open right away. And you get a fast pressure ball out super quick. Okay, I wanted to show this one. So shout out Cody Alexander on Twitter. I would check him out. He's at _coach_A. He has a bunch of stuff where he went over Jeff Hafley's scheme. So this is what he posted. And I just wanted to show like one clip of it just to, give him that credit, but also just be like all the stuff he's kind of doing. So bench solid. Bench is like the front that they're in. Nothing too crazy. You get the 2-eye, you got a 3 technique, standing guy out in the 9. You got Micah hand in the dirt, more in like a 6 type of technique. But you come out with 3 linebackers over here, and then you have your Sam, who's playing to the field. The Sam part is what the solid apparently means. Solid equals walk the Sam, so the Sam is kind of walking down to the line of scrimmage. You get your 2 off balls here, and like there's no crazy thing going on. They're playing quarters behind it, but having a Sam that can play on the line and then drop out, play the flat. And as I say, you got the triangle defenders taking away. You got a 3-on-2, and then you got they're playing quarters. They got this on the back end, and it kind of just can help cap things because you still have down the back box. If you go back to this, you still have pretty good numbers to play versus the run, and it's not like you have a DB as a seventh guy. You have seven, four down guys, and then three linebackers that can still play the run with safeties that are not playing too far off that can still fail and play in run support. But this allows you to still cap potential deep balls on the back end, but they're playing pretty aggressive, not getting a ton of depth to still take away the intermediate range. I recommend checking out Cody Alexander on Twitter. He has a lot of stuff. I mean, literally, if you just look up Jeff Hafley on Twitter, this you'll probably see a bunch of his videos pop up like this. So pretty cool stuff. Gets that incompletion. Final play here. I believe this is final play. Yeah. I think I showed this in my first film breakdown. Just another variation. He loves the Tampa 2 variations. It's just similar to what we were showing. This one's actually more of just like a actual cover 2 variation. They don't necessarily need a guy playing deep middle of the field down in the red zone. But just you get some disguises. Jameis Winston takes the bait. They get the interception. Really, really fun stuff. I mean, that's Evan Williams, good player. It's another would have been a nice. I actually think they'll use Trader more in that Evan Williams role, so that'll be interesting to see how that ends up playing out. But yeah, so Jeff Hafley does a good job disguising. I think using his personnel, and I'm excited to see because the last 2 seasons he had like a top 10 ish defense in Green Bay. I'm not saying it'll be that right away in Miami, but I do think that's something that they can build towards, and I'm excited to see all. I think usage will be the most interesting thing to me. How these players are used and how they kind of grow as the season goes on. So if you guys are comment, it's comment down. Peace.